Bob Scarff used to be MD of Countrywide, 800 branches, 6,000 staff. Genuinely, can a corporate estate agency care for its staff as much as a one-man band independent? Talk to me.
I think the way you ask the question implies that you think that big business isn't so good at doing these things as small businesses, and I can sort of understand that. The corollary to that, though, is that the bigger businesses are more likely to be able to afford the resources to give the support, the training, the development, the welfare support that a small business can't. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what size of business you're in, if the thought leader of your business makes it known that she or he believes in good welfare for their staff, good motivation for their staff, good engagement with their staff, then it will happen, and if they don't, it won't.
Well, let me declare to you, let's be frank, my question was rather leading. My best times, my happiest times in a state agency was when I was working for the Halifax estate agents.
Okay.
And quite frankly, I think I am quite guilty of making sweeping statements, and there are plenty of unhappy people in corporate agency, but yet there are plenty of happy people. And it come down to the one thing, my boss and the way they made me feel.
Yeah.
How you know, when you were MD of Countrywide nationally, how many people were between you and the frontline neg?
5, including me and the neg.
So really 3 people.
3 people in between, yeah.
How important is it as you go up the corporate ladder that disseminates down the goodwill, the protecting, look after you? Because let's be frank, all people want from their boss is someone just to protect them, look after them, guide and support them, coach them, make sure they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
As you go up, how far up did you feel that you could affect the neg on the front line as the national boss?
Yeah, I did actually, and I used to spend regularly 1.5 to 2 days every week of my time as the national boss in the branches, going round either on my own or with an area manager, and I got a great opportunity then to hear from the horse's mouth, as it were, that the Chinese whisper that I was sending from where I was the same as the one that they were hearing. And probably some of the most valuable lessons I learned were from listening to people talk to me about it. And people, as long as you're disarming enough in the way that you ask the questions, people are surprisingly honest with you. And yeah, I found out all sorts of fascinating stuff that I would never have found out in any other way, shape or form.
If you don't mind me saying, the national boss of an estate agency network spending 2 days a week, I think that's what a lot of corporate agents wouldn't recognise that, would they?
I don't know. People who worked for me were brought up, I was brought up, and the people that worked for me were also brought up to attach great importance to that. It did mean that I was still dealing with emails in the evenings and at weekends, including Sundays. So it probably wasn't good. My personal work-life balance wasn't great, but I knew that if I didn't keep spending that time out in branches, I would lose something that I thought was very, very important.
Do you think that's a big piece of advice that you'd give to any corporate boss watching this, area manager, divisional director?
I wouldn't give it to them advice, because if they're not doing that, then they don't get it. I would thoroughly recommend that if they don't do it, they should. But I think that most of the good operators are already doing that, whether it's area manager level or company managing director level. I think it scares some people. I think one of the reasons they don't do it is because they have never done it or haven't done it for a long time. That jumping in is going to be very uncomfortable. But just get on with it. Jump.
But
in.
we're not talking about like an American president's cavalcade where you rush in and run upstairs and sit, you're actually sitting with Floss, the negotiator.
Well, typically I was with an area manager going around her or his branches for a day, so the day was as much about them as individuals and talking to them about them and their hopes and aspirations, their strengths.
But you can do that in the car, can't you?
Do that in the car, but cups of coffee on the way round, whatever. It was a good bonding opportunity, me to make sure that they understood where I was going with the company, and great opportunity to meet the people in the branch.
Must be great for the area manager, the national boss is going around with them. And did you specifically ask whether you went to poor performing branches, good ones? Did you choose? Because we can all show our favourite children off, can't we?
My PA had a list of regional managers, and her job was to make sure that I spent a day with every one. I mean, with the numbers that we're talking about, I could spend a day this year, and it probably wouldn't be till next year till I'd spend another day with that same person.
But once a year is not bad.
Oh, okay, more than once a year, but yeah, certainly twice in every 3 years. Let's put it that
Yes.
way. And even that's better than nothing at all. And I would keep a note of what I'd said to them last time, which made them think that I could remember everything, and of course I hadn't, but I'd written it down. They, I mean, it must, because people watching this who were on the receiving end of this was all still work in progress. When I became managing director of Countrywide in 2008, we had something like 110 area managers and something like 40 managing directors. By the time I left, we had something between 60 and 70 area managers and 10 managing directors. So there was a cull, partly because of economic necessity with the way the market was in 2008, 2009, but frankly it was well overdue. We had spans of control that were simply too narrow. And part of my motivation in spending time with these people is to work out which ones do I want on my team and which ones do I not, so that we make sure that the ones that are never going to be what we want, we have a conversation with them about returning to branch management or going and working for somebody else.
Because the area manager role is such an important make or break, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And apart from anything else, my old colleague Nick Dunning used to have an expression that A people recruit B people recruit C people recruit D people. In other words, if you've got management that's only Bs, they'll only be able to recruit people that are Cs, and actually you want the very best people running your business so that they attract and retain only the good quality candidates. And the number of times that I would have got back into a car with an area manager having been into a branch and say something like, I'm not sure that anybody in that branch is any good, because if they are all motivated by the idiot that we've got running that branch, then they're probably all idiots, and we probably need to get rid of all of them, because anybody who had anything about them wouldn't be prepared to come and work for someone as rude and as arrogant and as obnoxious as I've just experienced. And if I've experienced it and I'm supposed to be their boss's boss, then what's the negotiator be having on a day-to-day basis?
Thank you.